Am I seeing things? Am I legit seeing things? Is Bon actually being useful? Well, I'll be. It's about time. It's about time. I think we can all agree it's about time. He has been a walking meat bag that is useless for far too long, and regardless of how harsh I've been about Bon as a character, I really like him. I really love Bon's character. I love, his characterization to where he came from and all that, but in terms of standpoint and being useful, he hasn't been for a very long time, so I'm glad to see that we're finally going to be getting more Bon, but also a potential power-up, because we all know that's what this is. It's very obvious, because Bon needs a power-up, he needs to get stronger, and that's exactly what this is about. Bon going into Purgatory basically lets us know that he is going to get a power-up. He's going to either gain some form of new weapon, new ability, whatever the case may be, he's going to get a lot stronger thanks to him going to Purgatory. So I'm looking forward to it because, number one, I love Bon arcs. I've always loved Bon arcs. They're always very fascinating and interesting, and they feel very different from the normal vibe of, Taizai. But on top of that as well, Bon's one of my favorites. So being able to see him have an arc focused entirely on him makes me very happy. So anyways, getting off of that, let's just say right now that Purgatory, I didn't think we were going to be going there anytime soon. I legit didn't even actually think we would ever go there, because when I think of Purgatory, I thought of it as like a sealed space. That's what I figured it was. And eventually the Demon King was going to break from his chains and then, leave Purgatory. That's what I expected from that entire place. I didn't ever think that we would have one of our characters go into Purgatory to try to, let's say, still Meliodas' emotions back, which when you think about it, this has been built up for quite a while now, because, Bon is the perfect character for this. He is the sin of greed, so being the sin of greed and being able to steal things, obviously, him stealing back emotions is another thing. Now, if I had to speculate anything about this, what potential power-up Bon is going to be getting, I'm assuming, this doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I'm assuming that Bon is going to gain the ability, similar to how the Demon King is, he could possibly steal emotions, or something along the lines of that, or maybe even steal souls. It's either going to be souls, or it's going to be emotions, one or the other, because right now, Bon can really only steal, strength and stuff from people, so if he's able to steal emotions, or snatch their soul as well, that would add an extra strength to him, which would be very fascinating if he was able to obtain. I wonder if he might learn something like that from the Demon King while he is in Purgatory. But getting back on topic with Purgatory, though, the overall presence of it seems very eerie. I don't know, just the tone of this chapter was very creepy, because when I think of Purgatory, for some reason, it reminds me a lot of, The Abyss. If you know what I'm talking about The Abyss as in, Berserk, the astral layers and stuff. Now, one of the big things and the reason why I think this is because Nakaba-sensei, every time he usually has, creepy designs or whatever, usually the designs remind me a lot of, creatures or demons you would see in Berserk. Now, I'm not saying that the story's up there with Berserk, because that's an entirely different ballgame. I'm just saying that when it comes to design-wise, when I saw the Purgatory, the style of it and all that, when you see the souls, and when you saw, the person just in robes and stuff surrounded by, the darkness of the Purgatory, I like the style of that. It reminds me a lot of, darker seinen manga, which is, Berserk. So I'm really liking the style and the way this arc is going to go. I'm very excited for it, and so I just can't wait to see how Bon is going to change when he goes within there. Also, another big thing to note is apparently time is very messed up within it. Time is just completely warped, and you can lose all perception of time. Things can feel like years, weeks, months, a couple of minutes. Time is completely messed up, which is pretty interesting when you think about it. So I wonder if that's going to mess with Bon in any way when he actually does go in there. Now, I do think that Bon is still going to be in danger, because number one, even though he doesn't have to worry about his body deteriorating and just getting completely destroyed and then going crazy and stuff, I do believe that he probably has the risk of someone snatching his emotions, very similar to what the Demon King was doing to, Meliodas, but also the possibility of his soul being snatched as well, because that is a critical weakness that Bon has, which we've known for a very long time now. Bon may be immortal, he may be able to tank everything and not die, but his soul can still be snatched. He could still have a soul ripped out of his body, and he could still die. So, it doesn't automatically mean that Bon is impervious to damage completely. Like, he's not 100% immortal. He can die. His body may be immortal, but his soul, however, is not. So Purgatory might have an everlasting effect on his soul, and anyone in there could possibly tamper with Bon, maybe snatch his soul or whatever, which can be incredibly hard to deal with. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Nakaba-sensei wants to handle that as well. So let's talk about the Meliodas stuff. So Meliodas, he announces, as we know from the last chapter, that the 7 deadly sins should disband. And he states his reason for why. Basically, he doesn't want him to be around, and it's obvious that he wants to protect them. I mean, from a shonen perspective, he wants to protect his friends, and since he has lost all of his emotions, and he's now just, losing everything, he knows for a fact he'd be willing to hurt his friends without even a second thought, because he has lost a lot of emotions. The only thing that really is clinging him to what he once had is Elizabeth being right there beside him. If it wasn't for Elizabeth, he would already be long gone. So Meliodas is trying to save his friends from himself, but on top of that, he's still trying to save Elizabeth because he wants to become the Demon King, which makes a lot of sense. Since he wants to become the Demon King, that means he would be gifted the Demon King's power, which in turn would mean that he would be able to get rid of the curse on him and Elizabeth. That's a possibility. So it makes a lot of sense why Meliodas would want to do this, why he would want to become the Demon King, because if he does, the curse is lifted, everything is fine, and then he could have his emotions back. But I highly doubt it's going to be that easy. I mean, there's just no way. The Demon King, for a fact, most likely knows that that's what Meliodas wants. See, it's obvious that Meliodas and Elizabeth's relationship is a big thing. We know because of the Supreme Goddess, and also the Demon King went out of their way to put these two down and curse them. So, they know about the relationship, and the Demon King most likely knows that Meliodas wants to be able to fix and get rid of the curse. So, yeah, most likely him wanting to be the next Demon King, it's not going to be that easy. And I don't think if he does become the Demon King, he's going to get his emotions back. He might free Elizabeth or whatever, but he might be completely evil at that point. One or the other might happen. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out if you were completely unaware and didn't notice it. Also, let's talk about Hawk for a second. So Hawk, a big mystery was revealed. Now, it's been built up for a while now. We've already seen some foreshadowing to it, so it's not like it came out of nowhere in this chapter. Even before we heard that voice and all that from the Demon King, we saw many glimpses of Hawk's eye. Nakaba-sensei constantly showed panels of just focusing on Hawk's eye, and you could, see some type of figure within it. And so, after all of this build-up, we finally got the revelation that it was, in fact, the Demon King watching through Hawk's eye the entire time throughout this series. So yeah, just to point out, the Demon King has been watching Meliodas this entire time. So, I think this lets us know that Hawk being the reincarnation of the bird from, the flashback or the special chapter of Meliodas, it's very likely now. Because let's think about something. Meliodas and Elizabeth, they're cursed. Meliodas is cursed to not die. If he does die, he gets resurrected and he loses things. In this case, the Demon King could have done something very similar to Hawk. Resurrecting like Hawk, where he constantly resurrects into a different form, and he could watch through Hawk's eye and, check on Meliodas and see what he's doing. That most likely is a potential possibility, so that explains a lot. So the Demon King has been watching for a very long time, and yeah, just been probably seeing how Meliodas is changing and suffering overall. And I like that, little look that Meliodas gave Hawk, and he was actually talking to Demon King. He's like, did you enjoy the suffering and misery and stuff? So, it shows that Meliodas is still very angry. So, there might be a big fight coming up. Who knows? We might get to see a very big fight happen soon. So, yeah, that's about it. I mean, the chapter overall, it's very simple. And I guess the last few things I want to mention is just the translation time. So, is it just me, or has Taizai been getting translated, very, very late nowadays? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that, the fan translations are still coming out. It's better late than never, that's what I always say. However, has anyone noticed that the translations of Taizai have been getting later, and later, and later, and later? Like, they used to come out, very early around Saturday, which we know things happen, chapters got pushed back. That's why, One Piece, Boku no Hero and stuff comes out on Friday now, which is understandable why, Taizai, Tokyo Ghoul and stuff, they come out now on Monday. However, Tokyo Ghoul came out yesterday, and the spoilers and, the full raws to this chapter have been out a couple of days now, even before TG came out. And so, the translation times I noticed have been getting a lot slower. It could be personal things going on at MS, but I believe what it really is that Taizai isn't as popular as those other series, and there's probably no motive or drive to get this out as quickly as possible, because it's not as popular as those other big series. For instance, Tokyo Ghoul, One Piece, Boku no Hero Academia, and I mean, in due time, I could see The Promised Neverland getting this stick as well, if things continue to carry on like it is. But I just wanted to point that out, and I wonder if anyone else has noticed how slow the translations have been. You remember those days when we used to have Red Hawk? Anyone remember those days? So, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to, end my discussion of, this chapter there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's chapter of Taizai. How do you feel about Bond finally being useful? I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe. And if you like this video, obviously, please leave a like. And if you don't like it, well, as I always say, leave a dislike as well. Because, I don't fault you for it. If you don't like me as a person, nothing I can do about it, but I do wish you all a very good day. So please be safe. Chibi out.